Hello, everybody. I'm Nathaniel Alic-Ander, and this is my review of Beyond the Gates, episode 101, which is Wednesday's episode. Okay, so let's get into it. The opening scene was Vernon and Anita at the country club, and they were talking about Anita's upcoming engagement uh, with her performance with the other articulates. And so they were there to talk about that and celebrate. And she got a message from her promoter saying that he wanted to speak to them. When he came, he asked Anita to do a solo performance for in the upcoming show, and she immediately said no. Okay, so that brings us to Chelsea coming to see the Grands, and she came specifically to see Anita, but Anita wasn't there. So she came in and saw Tracy and Sharon. And so she was talking to them, and she was in disbelief that she actually got to meet them. And the person that does the wardrobe came in, and she showed Chelsea the choices. Chelsea was not happy, and she decided to change the looks. But before I get into that and her changing the looks, I would like to say that for me, I was a little upset because Anita had broached the subject of updating their routines, their clothes a couple weeks ago, and they shot her down. They said what worked for them before is going to work for them again. Anita told them that, we're trying to get a new audience and please the old at the same time, but we need an update. And they fought her. They even broke up over it. And because they said she was making all the decisions by herself. But when Chelsea came through and said that outfits were matronly, uh, they were all on board. And so I know there was some water under the bridge and now it's kind of cleared. So maybe they feel a little bit different. But I just felt a certain type of way about that because Anita was right. And they didn't give her the credit. I thought she was right then when she said it. But they didn't give her the credit and they were just pushing back just because they could push back. But Chelsea satisfied their taste and they were all on board with the change and everything she had did with the change. And so she decided to interview Tracy and Sharon, and they shared some of their stories, including Tracy talking about how she's traveled the world and sung all over, and Sharon talked about how she was a voice coach and she was the choir coach as well and director. And I'm happy to see that their lives didn't stop, that they did continue their dreams and they continued it in a way that they thought they might have not continued it. And I mean, what I mean by that is it wasn't by way of stardom, but they kept true to their core and as being musicians and singers, and they continue to have their dream. And I love that because, so many times it doesn't work out the way we want it to work out, and we just give it all up, give it up altogether. And it goes to show you that it can vary in different ways. But if you're doing something you love, then whatever opportunity comes forth, grab it. And so she was interviewing them, asked them how they stayed together so long, and then they explained that they were sisters, and then she asked about Anita, and basically they cleaned it up really well by talking about the past and what they meant to each other in the past, but not so much in the present, and not being too honest about not keeping up with her grandmother. So I thought that was really really cool. And I'm glad to see the articulates are. I'm not a fan of the name articulates, but anyway, I'm glad to see that they are working things out and coming together, and that they decided to uh, get it together for Barbara, who's no longer here, and that remember the good times and will bring them to be where they're at, and to pay tribute to Barbara about her being the one that got them together. And I have two things to talk about that before I end it, and well, three things, and one of them is colored girls. Now I know that's their generation, but I'm trying to figure out were they a group in the '80s or were they a group in the '60s. They got to clear some stuff up because later on Chelsea say bringing R&B together with the new age, what you call them. So I'm like R&B, that could be any generation. So I'm not trying to. I'm trying to figure out where they lie. And then when they were playing their song, it seemed like that was like maybe '80s or '70s. So I'm not sure, but but the Color Girls thing, I just I know, like I said, that that's their time and maybe that's what they refer to, but it just irks me a little bit when they say it. And I know it's history appropriate, but I just wanted to say that. And two, I think Dante Green is on his way. Do you hear me? I think Dante Green is coming. I don't know who's gonna play him. I don't know. There is some rumors that they hired older gentlemen. So we'll see if that's Dante Green or if he's another character altogether. But we'll see. And the third thing is, I'm so happy Anita brung her solo to a vote with the two other girls, with Tracy and Sharon. I'm glad she is being open about it and letting them decide, even though she initially said no. She was talking to bringing it to them and see what they say. And her music, jazz, is a little bit different from the groups. So it's not like she's taking center stage with their sound. So if she does do it, it won't be stepping on anybody's toes. But that is old history, and maybe they need to stay together. But I am happy that she was uh, pretty much saying no at first and was thinking about them and how they would feel and what happened before. But I'm also happy she brought it to a vote so that way we can see where everybody is. Okay, so Naomi went to visit Danny. She was picking out her outfit, Danny, and she insulted Naomi's outfit, which I was like, ooh, that's kind of uncalled for and out of nowhere. But then it isn't because Danny's into fashion and Chelsea is a model and into fashion. So Naomi is the odd one out, and she's more of the everyday woman, if you will. And so I can see why Danny took a little snipe because that's probably their relationship because she's not able to bond with Naomi over fashion and stuff like that. And maybe she wants to, but she's going about it the wrong way by insulting Naomi. Naomi confided in Danny about keeping a secret from Jacob, and they realized that they both know about the secret, but Danny didn't know about Bill and the murder, and so Naomi filled her in, and so Danny was shocked, of course, about Bill's part in it, and was not happy about it, but she took it pretty well, and even though Bill allegedly helped murder somebody, and so yeah, that, and I noticed that Danny told Naomi that you guys, her and Jacob, are the lasting couple, the one that is lasting, and you're an example, and you guys can't have problems. That's a lot of pressure to put on her, considering she just told you she was keeping something from her husband. So I thought that was a little out of place, but Danny can be like that sometimes. I love her, but then she can be a little too much. Okay, Nicole had her first session with Martin, although it wasn't a session, it was a conversation, as Nicole put it. And so Martin told her that his main goal was putting his family back together. And she told him basically he's not going to be able to do that overnight, and that's going to take some time, and told him to relax. And she even asked him about Vernon because I think she thinks that he should have some anger towards Vernon and what he's done and the decisions he's made. But Martin said basically that Vernon was protecting him, and then he in turn was protecting Smitty because he didn't want Smitty to see him in a different light because the way he see him now is what he was trying to avoid. And so they were talking about that, and so they got to nightmares, and Martin said that he didn't want to take pills. Brother, you need to be on something. I don't know. Maybe they can give you some like cough syrup kind of medicine, that you can drink because you need to take something. Breathing exercises is not going to do it. It's not. Martin has some issues. And so, anyway, she decided to do breathing exercises and she was interrupted by Danny, who had their outfits for tonight's performance, but they both didn't want to go. And so Danny told them, basically, pretty much you're going, and this is why. And that Nicole was being passive aggressive, and she's not going to be able to deal with the guilt that her mother's going to pit on her. And Martin needs this time out. He needs this time for himself. So Danny went to work, as she does, and she got them all together. And so now they're both going. Okay, now Samantha and Kat were talking, and Samantha confiding in her about Smitty and her dad breaking up. Kat had no idea. Kat was a little upset at the fact that she didn't know that her brother marriage was having trouble, and that she's been so involved in herself and Tomas, and that that didn't sit right with her. But they end up talking and commiserating over both having parents that broke up together. And I love how they are really acting like a family. She's a little cousin, and they're talking to her and being honest with that. That's real life. I like that. And so they were interrupted by Naomi, and Naomi came in, joined the conversation, and then Chelsea came in, and so then it was Chelsea, Naomi, Kat, and Samantha all talking, and uh, Chelsea had an idea, and I believe the idea is getting together with the Articulates and doing some kind of young and new version, as I mentioned earlier. And I think that's going to be cute. We'll see if it's too cute though. We don't want like Coca-Cola Middle America cute. We want real cute. And so they're talking about it's relying on Samantha and they're making her feel special. And this is great because she needs this at this time. Okay, next we're on to Tyrell and Smitty. Tyrell was trying to convince Smitty to go to the performance, and Smitty was not having it at first, but he helped Tyrell pick out an outfit, which I love because Smitty, you can tell he really loved those kids, and those kids love him, and it's a real family. I love that. I don't feel that with Martin and the kids, but that's a subject for another time. And so Smitty didn't want to worry. He didn't want to go because he didn't want to uh, be a worry to people, and he didn't want anybody to be mad with him because of Martin. But Verdi came and talked to him and told him that he's invited and that it's a request from Anita. So I believe Smitty's going to give in and go. I hope he does because he belongs there. As Vernon said, you belong with your family. And I love that because they love him probably a little bit more than they love Martin, but they don't want to say that. I know I do. And so that's it for this episode, and that's episode 101. And I'm so happy to be back again with you guys. Please like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll be back tomorrow. And this will be posted the day after. So this will be posted Thursday, even though it's Wednesday's episode, and so forth. So forth after that, it will be more of the same. Thank you. Have a great day.